So we've got our card picked out for today. We are at just even after time. So anybody that's new, welcome. Thank you for coming on board. My name is Kathy. I teach watercolor art. This is a step-by-step process. We will go through one step at a time. Don't feel panicked or rushed at any point. If you need me to slow down, just unmute your camera or unmute your speaker and ask me, and I will slow down. But at this point, we're going to just get into art mode. So we'll just take some deep breaths in and hold it at the top of the breath and then just let out. We'll do that 3 times. If you have anything going on in your life that would disrupt you from having 1 hour completely to yourself, just set that aside in the parking lot if you're able. And if it's still there at the end of class, then you can pick it back up again. So deep breath in and drop your shoulders and out. And another deep breath in, shoulders down and out. And one more deep breath in and out. And so, as I mentioned, this is a step-by-step watercolor class. No pressure for perfection. This is about progress, trying something new, being with like-minded artists. This is just a piece of paper. It's not life-threatening. If you've got the drawing and you've done the drawing once, if you like, you can go ahead and you can repeat the process. You can put different colors on. You can change the size of your hummingbird. You can change the color of your flowers. We're going to do some pinks and some blues. So
are you doing the 6x9, Kathy?
This is the same size. Yes, this is exactly the same size, 6 inches
It
by
looks
9.
like you have so much tape, like thick tape on it. Oh, I see. So you don't have tape?
The tape is on the back.
Oh, but you haven't taped off the front?
I haven't taped off the front. I'm not going to tape off the front because I don't want that white edge all the way around. I've just taped the back.
So should I take off my tape?
You can, unless you're happy with that white edge. If you like the white edge, then leave it on.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just going to lower my camera just so that you can see. As I said, we will do this one step at a time.
Can I just ask you real quick, how do we know to tape or not to tape?
I think I say on it to tape the back, or if we're going to wet the whole canvas. If we're going to wet the whole canvas at the beginning and we need a blow dryer, chances are it's good to put tape.
On the front?
We are on the front. We are going to do the outside edges with color, but it won't be completely soaking the whole canvas. So if you're going to soak your whole paper, when you put the tape around the outside edge, it stops your paper from rippling.
Pretty.
And Riva, you're asking how do you get, oh, she wants some closed caption. So I'm not sure if Troy, if you have that on there. Or,
yep, closed caption is turned on.
It's turned on. Okay, so it should be happening for you, Riva. Okay, so we also have a reading from our Joy meditation cards from Everyday Living, and I will read that at halftime. As we get a little further into the project, we have Sandra has some information about hummingbirds that she's going to let us know. So I'll just let you know, Sandra, when it's time for that, which is cool. It's really cool because if you have information about, as I said, I don't know about all the hummingbirds and they're all different sizes. So, and for me to stop the camera and read from my phone, then that's kind of disruptive. But Sandra has that information and she's going to share that with us during class. So thank you for that. And so we're going to start with the flowers. And I have a color. It's a pink color. So if you don't have a pink color, you can make pink. So what I have is quite a sort of a fuchsia, because these colors, or sorry, these flowers, again, like on Tuesday, these flowers are magnolias, so they usually have quite a red or a pink that they attract hummingbirds. So if you don't have a pink and you want to make it more pink, then this is red. And if I add a little bit of blue to that red, then it turns, it's a little bit more purpley, but it's better as a more of a pinky mauvey color than just straight red. So you can add a little bit of blue to your red and come up with a pinky color if you choose to do that. So we're going to do the flowers. And on the flowers, I'm only doing the bottom of the flower. I'm not doing further up into the flower. So I'm doing the bottom of the flower where it just starts. Again, I'm doing the bottom of each petal, just with the pink. So I have another flower up above. I'm not doing the center, I'm leaving the center, but I'm just doing the petals and just the bottom parts of the petals. So we just do this slowly, and we just do this. Oh, I didn't wet the paper first. No, I just used wet paint on dry. I'm not doing the outside edges. All I'm doing are these, just the starting of, or the inside of the flowers of the petal. And I'm going to leave that and let it dry a little bit. If you were in class on Tuesday, you saw that's what we did, and then we expanded the color from there. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and do the leaves, and I want a light green. So I've got a darker green. If I have a really dark green, which I'll demonstrate. If I have a really dark green, and I want to make it a lighter green, then I can use yellow or ochre. So I've got a dark green. If I want to make that lighter, I'm going to put ochre in there. So this is ochre, and I'm going to put it in the darker green until it turns lighter. So if it's not light, and if it's not as light as the green down below, I'm going to continue to add a little bit more yellow. So it's a little bit olivey, but that's okay. And we're going to use that green, that olivey green or your lighter green, and we're just going to do the leaves. So down the bottom of this flower is
Kathy,
the tail. Yes,
a sap green would work for that.
sap green would be perfect for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're just going to do the leaves. So I only have those two full leaves. I am going to put some more green on there, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and do my branches. So my branches are in brown. And I'm using a number 3 pointed brush. So I'm just going, because I've already drawn it in, I'm just going to trace over the lines that I've got for my branches. So all I'm doing is tracing over the lines that are currently there for my branches.
What color did you use for the branches?
That's just brown. It's a darker brown. Now it's dried a little bit lighter already, so I'm going to go back on and give it a second coat. Not always on top of where I've done, but by doing this, it gives that second or 2D effect, gives an added extra layer of depth. And I can see I've missed a little flower. I'm just going to put a little tip of color on the end of that flower.
So pretty.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And while I've got that brown out, I'm going to go ahead with the brown on the two flowers that are open. So this flower is open and this flower is open. And I'm going to do a series of dots all the way around on the inside. So hold that close to the camera, you can see. We're doing a series of dots around the inside, just with the brown. So I'm going to do that on both flowers. I'm just going to do a series of dots. So I'm just taking the brown and I'm just touching the canvas and just with the point of my brush and just making some dots to show the center of that flower. Now we'll move on from the flowers. We're still going to leave them the way they are with the white on them. And we'll start to work on the hummingbird. And Sandra, are you able to unmute yourself and tell us what you know about hummingbirds?
I'll tell you in a second, Kathy. I have to get on my computer to read the article.
Okay. So we'll move next to purple. And purple, if you don't have purple, purple can be made with a combination of red and blue. You'll come up with a lavender color. And underneath the bird's, underneath the beak, we're just going to put a little bit of purple. There's a bit of an angle, a triangle almost, underneath the eye. So it's at the back of the eye. And on the stomach.
That back of the eye is beyond that line that we drew from the eye?
Yes, it's down
Okay, yes,
below.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. Um,
So we'll keep working with the purple. Whoops. And the purple is in the feathers. So we want to create the look of feathers just by putting purple lines through. We're going to add more colors. So there's just a few lines there, and we're going to be working a lot with just clear water so that this paint moves a little bit. We'll carry on with that purple a little bit down below. We'll do the same in the tail feathers. So don't worry if your lines look like these lines look like they're pretty hard and pretty solid. If I was to take and add water to that right now, you'd see that that would start to move and blend a little bit. That's exactly what we're going to do. So if your lines look like they're too hard right now, we are going to soften them up a little bit. So the same green that you have in your leaves, we're going to put a streak of that behind the eye. Excuse me. And we're going to put that underneath the bottom feather. So we're adding color on color on color. We're going to put a little bit of that green in the feathers. So at this point, we've got some green behind the eye, some green on the body, and some green in the feathers. We can take some of that green and put it down below in the bottom feathers. So we've got a multitude of colors so far happening, a blending. If one starts to run into the other, that's okay. So that red or pink, whichever it was, the same color that you used in the flowers, because we've got it on one side of our picture and we want to balance, we want a bit of that color on the other side. So we're going to do a streak of that pink or red, whatever color you used. We're going to put it in the feather on the other side. And we're going to shoot a little bit of that pink into the tail feather. So we still have a fair bit of white on the belly.
Kathy, did you put some of that green in the tails?
I have a little bit of that green in the tail. There's a little bit
Oh,
here. You can see
okay.
a couple of spots if I hold it close. Yes,
Okay, thank
couple
you.
of spots in there, yes. I just used what was on my brush and just brushed it off into the tail feather.
It seems like your technique, you have a very watery brush. Do you think that? Very wet brush?
Whenever I dip my brush in my dish, when I dip my brush in, I always tap it off on paper towel. So I have damp bristles, but not a lot of water on it.
Your colors look looser than mine. And
Okay.
I'm wondering if you have a wetter brush, maybe not.
Oh, maybe.
Here, I'll just show you. I'm trying to follow you, but my purples are purpler, my greens are greener, which is
That's
good.
okay.
Fine.
We're still going to be doing a lot of water technique on this bird. So that's what I was saying. If your colors look like this one is fairly dark, we're going to add water. And it will become, if I add water now, you'll see just by adding clear water, it starts to pull the colors down. It's going to start to blend and move. So your colors won't be near as hard as you think they are now. So the color we haven't got on this bird yet is blue. So we're going to add blue now. Now I have phthalo blue, which is quite a bright blue. If you don't have that color blue, if you have cobalt blue is fine. And so we're going to do the beak of the bird, not the whole beak, but from the top of the head down around the back of its head to the feathers. So I'm going to go right to that green section.
It may also help people to know that every computer monitor's color is calibrated differently. So what you see in person and what you see on the screen is always going to be different. So not to stress over that.
Thank you, Troy.
It's so beautiful.
Not to stress over any of it. This is not to be a stressful class. This is not about perfection. It's about trying something new. And if you want to do it again, you certainly can. So I'm going to take this blue that I've got, and I'm from the neck along the belly, I'm going to run the blue right over top of the outside edge of that purple, right into that purple. So in and around. So that purple is going to start to fade a little bit. You can still see almost looks pinky in there, but I'm going to run that blue right over it. I'm going to stretch that blue down into the tail feathers right on top of some of those other colors. So they start to blend. I'm going to run that blue in front of that green section.
So beautiful.
Thank you. And now we want these feathers to look like they're coming up. So with your blue, you're going to go in an upward motion. And at the top, we're going to go out the same way the feather goes. So the same way the feather's going. So we've got lots of fun colors on there.
Kathy, Sandra's ready whenever you are for her.
Okay, Sandra, go ahead and tell us about hummingbirds.
Okay, hi everyone, good afternoon. This is Sandra. I'm gonna have my daughter read it.
So this is a different kind of hummingbird that Sandra's going to tell us about. It's called, and it's named as a doctor bird because it has some healing properties. Okay, so go ahead and tell us some things about this hummingbird.
Okay, the description of the doctor bird. The doctor bird or swallowtail hummingbird, Trochilus polytamus, which is the other name for it, is one of the most outstanding of the 320 species of hummingbirds. It only lives in Jamaica. These birds' beautiful feathers have no counterpart in the entire bird population, and they produce iridescent, which means showing luminous colors that seem to change when seen from different angles. Colors characteristic only of that family. In addition to these beautiful feathers, the mature male has two long tails which stream behind him when he flies. For years, the doctor bird has been immortalized in Jamaican folklore and song. So in Jamaica, the West Indies, the Caribbean, this is actually
Our national bird. So the hummingbird that my daughter just read to you about is actually the only one that is found in Jamaica, and it's not found anywhere else. So it's endemic to Jamaica. So this was just a little bit of background since we're doing a project on the hummingbird today. So that was just my little tidbit. Thank you, Troy.
There it is, the doctor bird. So it's in Jamaica. That's what it's known as.
Nice.
So it's
Beautiful.
one of the most outstanding of
Great.
the 230 species of hummingbirds. It only lives in Jamaica. These birds, beautiful fellows, have no counterpart in the entire bird population, and hence they produce iridescent colors, characteristics only of that family. In addition to these beautiful feathers, the mature male has two long tails, as you can see in the picture, which stream behind him when he flies. For years, the doctor bird has been immortalized in Jamaican folklore and song. The origin of the name Doctor Bird is somewhat unsettled. It has been said that the name was given because the erect black crested bills resemble the top hat and the long tail coats doctors used to wear in the olden days. Other schools of thought believe that it refers to the way the bird lands the flowers with their bills to extract nectar. So that was just my little tidbit for the hummingbird, that there's something actually called the doctor bird, which is another type of hummingbird. Thank you.
Awesome. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
for sharing.
welcome.
Nice.
Lovely.
Thank you.
All right. So now we have our bird. We have some colors on our bird. It's not a doctor bird, it's a hummingbird, but it's the same, from the same family. So we've got all these colors on. I've got red. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit of a tip of my red on the top of the head. So I just want, just at the very top, I want a little bit of that pink just above the eye. So just a little bit up there. And then I'm going to start with clear water. And I'm not using a whole lot of water. I'm tapping my brush in the dish, then I'm wiping it out or tapping it off on paper towel, and I'm going to start moving the color just with whatever paint my brush picks up. So I'm not adding any additional colors. If I happen to pick up green when I'm in the green, if I happen to pick up red when I'm in the red, if I pick up purple, I'm going to re-wet my brush, and I'm coming back down onto the neck area, and I'm just, again, a little bit more water, but I'm just moving the colors that are on there. So you can see there's no water here, but I picked up color here. So I'm just using my brush. I'm just picking up the colors, just pulling them over onto the bird from the center, from the side. See, there's some, this is still dry, but here I picked up color. So I'm bringing that all the way down to the bottom of where the stomach is on the bird. So there isn't any white left on the bird. It's all got a very soft coating of the colors that are there. If any of your colors you feel are too hard on the outside edges of your bird, just add a little bit of water to your brush and pull that color down, and just let it run down into the tail feathers because it will start to blend down there. So we haven't done the wings yet. We were just working with the belly of the bird. So I'm just softening all of those edges and letting them all blend together. So I'll let you work on that for a moment, and I'll read our card. Today is about creativity. So this is our May You Know Joy meditations for everyday living, and today's word is creativity. May you know the force of your creativity. There are so many colorful ways for you to express your ideas and your feelings and your energy. What colors will you use? How will you move? What mood will you evoke? How will it be different from yesterday? You are creating every moment of your life in everything that you do. You hold the palette and wield the brush. Be passionately creative. So may you know creativity. Perfect for today. So now that we've got the bird body done, we're not going to work on the eye yet. I still want to leave that to dry before I put black paint on there. But now I'm going to work with the feathers. So I'm using wet paint, and I didn't tap off my brush this time. So I just got wet, just a wet brush, and I'm just rubbing those colors to blend them together. So it makes a nice, soft, blended look on the feathers, but I'm going in the same direction that the feathers would go. So just be creative and let those colors flow. If you look and you see and you think, maybe I want a little bit more blue in my feathers, so I can add a little bit of blue. And while that
Well, it's not watercolor class unless we lose Kathy for 30 seconds.
Did you lose me for 30 seconds?
And you're back.
I'm back. I didn't even know I was gone. So if you decide you want to add a little bit of blue, if you've lost some blue in your feathers, then put blue in. If you've lost some red, or you want to put some green back in, then this is your opportunity while it's still wet. And as you put those colors in, they will start to blend together. You'll have a nice flow of colors. It looks like a little bit of my green has disappeared in my tail. So I'm going to add a little bit more green down there. So this is your opportunity to be as creative as you like. Add whatever colors you like. Now just with clear water, I'm going to go into the flowers, and from where the red color is now, I'm going to wet that with my wet brush. And I'm just going to, so I'm not adding any additional color, but I'm just going to pull that color down into the rest of the petal. So I have a dividing line, but because I've added water, it softens it. So now again, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do the same on all of the petals. I'm going from the color that's there and pulling it out along the rest of the petal. If you go outside of the lines, that's perfectly okay. Again, more water on a different petal. So this is how you can get two tones without adding a whole lot more. And again, if you go out of the lines like I did, it's perfectly okay. I'm going to continue up into all of my petals, just with clear water and rubbing on the existing color and pulling a little bit of it out. If they're not completely even in all the different spots, that's okay. That's going to make it more natural. So this particular petal has a little bit of a fold, and so I'm going to darken the outside edge a little bit, just a little bit darker, just because it's got a fold on the leaf. And then back to just plain water. And take a deep breath and just drop your shoulders, relax. I'm still letting that bird dry just a little bit more before I come in with the black. I'm going to use ochre. The color ochre or yellow if you've got it, it's up to you. And I'm going to just do some dots on the insides of the flower. So there'll still be some white spots show through. But I'm just doing some dots on the inside. I've already done the brown outside edge. Now I'm doing some yellow dots. So there's a little bit of white showing through. And if you have a watercolor black pencil, you could do the fine lines with it, or you could use a liner. This is a permanent marker, that's up to you. Or you could use black paint. I'm still using my number 3, which has a nice point on it. And I'm using black paint. And I'm going to do the outside of the eye. And there's just a few little lines behind the eye. I'm going to define the beak with the black. So I have my line drawn already. And I'm just coming underneath the beak, just to the front of the belly. And I've just stopped there for a second. And now I'm going to continue coming down around under the belly. Now my line's gone a little bit dark. So in order to counteract that, I can take a little bit of my green or a little bit of, I've got a little bit of purple, a little bit of blue, and I can just bring that in just by moving it with the brush and the blue.
All right, Kathy,
Yes,
what color did you do the beak and under the belly in first?
this is in black. So they've done the eye in black, and I've done underneath the beak, right out to the beak, underneath and around in black. Only because I went a little bit thicker in the belly area, I just put a little bit of blue to bring it back in. So if you find it's a little bit too thick, you can still make an adjustment while it's wet.
Okay, thank you.
My
Wow.
bird looks a little pregnant.
Maybe it is.
Okay, there you go.
Maybe it is. If anyone asks, that's what you could say. All right, we want to highlight this feather as well. So we have 2 feathers. We've got an inside feather and we've got an outside feather. And we want to give definition to the one feather. So it looks pretty clear here right now. I've come around and down. It's got a little bit lighter on the end and a little bit of shadow at the bottom where the feather meets the body. So it looks pretty dark right now, but I'll still come back and I can soften that up. But what I'm trying to define is the difference between the top feather the back feather and the front feather. So I can also do a little bit more defining of feathers in that wing.
Ugh. What a way to ruin a bird.
Kathy, can you
Breathe.
move that picture a little more towards, exactly, thank you.
That was not good. That's a good way to ruin it.
If you put color on and you're not happy with the color that you put on, put a piece of paper towel on and tap it and see if you can lift it off. Now I just want to soften some of these. And so I'm just going to use a brush with clear water. I'm tapping it off on paper towel. And then I'm just going over the dark lines, just a little bit extra water, just tapping it off a little bit and just softening some of those lines. It just, if they're too dark, if you want them to be a little bit lighter, just manipulate that a little bit with your brush, just wiggle it around a little bit and it will pick up that color and it has no choice but to move. And with black paint, I'm also going to do a few defining lines just with the tip of my brush, ever so slightly in the tail feathers. I'm just going to do a few lines just to give a little bit of detail in the tail feathers. So they don't have to be straight lines. They don't have to be really fine lines, but just a few throughout the tail feathers. So that when I hold it, as a distance, you can see that there's some definition. When you look up close, you can see that there's different feathers there.
Very pretty.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now I'm moving to a bigger brush. I'm moving to, this is a number 8 brush, and I'm going to pick up some greens. So the same green that's in my leaves. I'm going to give some leaves on my trees. So you can see that wasn't a specific movement, I'm just touching. I'm just giving green. So it's the look of a leaf, and it's a little bit heavy because it's on an easel. So I've got a little bit of dark underneath, only because I'm on an easel. And then at that little cross where the leaves cross, I'm putting a little bit of green. I'm going to put some dots here and there just to make it look like there's a little bit of greenery in my tree. And because I think it's always fun to add a little bit more color to your bushes or your trees, I'm going to add a little bit of that pink that's currently in the flowers. I'm going to do some more of that tapping. Get some fresh color. I'm just going to put a little bit more here and there throughout the branches. So I've got some nice pink to really attract that hummingbird. So we're almost at time. We have 5 minutes left. The hummingbird that I showed you on display has a blue sky in the background. This hummingbird doesn't have anything in the background. And I didn't want to do the background first, but I just want to show you how you can do the background after your picture is done. And so with clear water, I'm just going to go over in and around my picture, in and around, and just add clear water. Now you can do this, or you can wait and decide if you want to do a background later or not. But I'll just do this quickly just to show you. So I'm just getting my whole canvas up with a fair size brush. This is a number 12. So I'm just getting some water on there. If I happen to pick up some of the color that's on there already, I'm okay with that. I'm going to use a blue color, a very light blue, and I'm just going to tap that blue onto my picture. I'm just going to let it blend wherever it wants to blend. Give a nice background. As I said, if it picks up a little bit of the colors that are there, I'm not worried about it. And I'm not even worried about it being completely perfect. Because there's water on there already, it's going to blend. It's going to go wherever I put water. So there's a quick variation. If you decide that you want to put a color in the background, you can see that it wasn't a whole lot of extra effort. I'm just tapping that on there, moving it around, letting it flow. If it's not 100% perfect, that is part of what makes it even more beautiful, because it's just flowing like a sky would flow. So and then I'll just leave it alone and let it do. If it wants to run, if it wants to move any further, I'll just let it do whatever it wants to do. If I have the look of a halo on my bird, I'm just going to touch that in because I don't want that too much of a halo. And there you have it. And that's what we can do.
Could be best picture ever.
And that's what we can do in 1 hour.
Amazing.
See, and you've all done it too. Perfect. Now I've got a little bit of overflow on the
Lovely.
bottom. I'm just going to take my hungry brush and just pick up some of that excess paint off. But there you go. So with that, I'm off. So everyone have a great weekend.
Thank you,
Thank
Kathy.
you. Thank you so much.
Kathy.
Great
you.
class.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bless all of you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Joy.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.